Don't go away. On today's episode of Doggy Dilemmas, you're going to learn all about Jack.
Denise Mazzola is a certified professional dog trainer with over 20 years experience training dogs and people. If you've got a doggy dilemma, Denise can probably help.
Welcome to another episode of Doggy Dilemmas. I'm Denise Mazzola. Today we're going to continue on our training with Jack. He's a 1-year-old neutered male St. Bernard mix. Not really sure yet what he's mixed with, but his coloring is clearly St. Bernard, but his body size is lavish. So he could have some hound in him. He does bay when he barks, so it's always been very interesting around here this week. So we started training last week, and I've been working with him every day this week. So today's show, we're going to show you where he's progressed to, and all the different steps that I'm working through to get him into different places. Remember that when we're training a dog, we are teaching them behaviors that we want more of, and we're trying to get rid of the behaviors that we don't want, okay? And Jack, good boy. And if he has behaviors that we would like to change, then that's even more challenging to change a dog's behavior. It's not impossible, but it's more challenging. And if you think about human behavior, if you've ever tried to give up chocolate, stop smoking, lose weight, those are some of the really big behavior changes that we as people try to change, but it takes a lot to do that. And I want you to remember that as we're going through this training with Jack, because there's no magic bullets out there that's going to make training happen overnight. It's about consistency, consistency. So if everybody in your family is being consistent with your dog will learn very, very fast. Okay, so as we were setting up today, Jack was being crazy around the house. Now he's sort of calmed down, so he looks really good. So let's start with the basics. Sit, down, and stand. I'm going to talk you through. He still needs a little bit of a lure on the down, and you will hear my command for him to be lie, okay? Because the family that owns him says get down, meaning to get off me or to get off the furniture. They say get down. So the word down cannot mean what he's in now, this position on the floor, as well as take your body off me. So we've changed that one. It's going to be lie. You are going to hear me use the clicker, and he is understanding now that the clicker predicts the treat coming, okay? And the treat is his reinforcement. Think of the treat as his payment, his money. Any of us that are working for a living, generally we're working for the paycheck. If you're lucky enough to love what you do, then you're doing it because you love what you do, you believe what you do, but you're also getting a paycheck. And this is his paycheck. I've got a variety of things, including his breakfast. Every meal with Jack is a training session. So I work through the bowl of food as well as some other high value treats. And that's how I fit that into a very busy schedule that I have and that's what I tell clients. It's very hard to find an extra hour in the day or 30 minutes in the day to train your dog. So train them when you feed them. You have to feed them. It might take you 30 seconds to a minute to feed them normally. And if you add some training to that routine, you might feed them in 5 to 10 minutes. But your dog is going to have some training. And they need to learn English in order to survive in this society of ours. Okay, so let's start with Jack. We're going to do the basics. And one thing that I noticed with Jack is that he orients to the front of me a lot. This is where his initial training took place, and this is where he believes in his mind he must sit and lie down in order to get stuff. So I've been doing a lot of work with him trying to convince him that he can be other places and still get a reinforcement, and that my body can be in a different position, and I'll show you all that. So let's just start with the basics. So he's already sitting. I'm going to warm him up. I am going to use the lure, and I'm going to ask for the lie. Good boy. I'm going to ask for the sit. The sit from the down is the same command. It's just a different muscle movement for the dog. I'm going to step into his space. Good boy. I didn't need to use the lure. Now I'm also going to ask for the stand. Stand. And I'm going to bring him forward. Good boy. And one more for the lie. And this often happens with Jack being a 1-year-old. He got distracted. What was happening? He wanted to sniff something on the floor. So we'll go back to the stand. And what you're going to notice is I'm going to try really hard to keep my hands down to my side. I don't want to have the trainer elbow going on. I do have a bait bag on. In the early stages of training, you need to have the reinforcements with you so that you can deliver them quickly and properly. Stand. So that one still requires the lure. Lie. And the click tells him that it's the proper behavior and that there is a treat coming. Sit. Oops. Nope, dropped it. So the other thing I'm going to point out is I'm going to say the word lie, then I'm going to pause for about a second, and then I'm going to give him the hand signal to lie down. Lie. That gives him a minute, good boy, to process the sound, and it's following the formula, good boy. It's following the formula, new command, old command. So when you want to change a dog's name, you want to change any kind of signal that they have, you're going to follow that formula. The new command followed by the old command. And in Jack's case, the old command are his hand signals for sit and for lie down. So we'll do it again. Sit. Good boy. No treat. So he did that without it. Very good. That's pretty strong for him, which is kind of unusual. Lie. Good boy. So that's something that happens fairly regularly with Jack as well. Little distraction happening as a young dog. He doesn't quite see it. Now, when we start teaching the lie down, we also make a lot of big body movements, which I think I talked about last time. So I'm also consciously trying to say lie and give a signal that's just going halfway to the floor. And eventually I'm going to wean that so I'm just standing up and I can give him the hand signal from the stand position. Okay, so now we're going to start to change my body position. He likes lying down. So I'll sit on the couch and I'm going to turn purposely a little sideways. Lie. Good boy. Sit. No treat. He has that one nicely. Oh, now here's an interesting thing. Good boy. He stood up. I did not deliver the treat until he was back in the sitting position. It's very important that your reinforcements are delivered when the dog is in the position that you want him to be. So if I ask for the sit, good boy, and he stands, I have to wait until he sits again. Lie. We're going to go with no treats. Good boy. That's a good boy. And we'll do the stand, which he still needs a treat for. Stand. Good boy. So you can see that motion from the lying down position, it's not just a straight across. That would get him to, he's touching my hand, that would get him to maybe scoot. It has to be a diagonal up so that he will actually get up. It's not a walking, I just want him to stand up. Having a really nice stand is really important in New England. For one, if your dog is going out in this snowy weather and they're coming with snowballs on them, a nice stand command will afford you the opportunity to get them dried off and get the snow off them faster. When the snow melts and we've got mud season going on, again, if you can ask your dog to stand and to stay while you wipe them all down, that's a lot easier. And the veterinarian will definitely appreciate your dog having a good stand command so that when they need to stand up on the table or on the floor so that they can be examined, your dog already knows that. Okay, it's a known behavior that they can perform in the veterinarian office. Then they don't have to be sort of hassled or restrained or held in some position, which most dogs will object to some degree. Okay, so now I'm going to get on the floor with him and still ask for these commands. And I'm going to try with no lure. Jack, sit. Good boy. And I want to deliver it while he sits. Good boy. I'm going to ask for this. Oh. Sit. Good boy. So I'm going to ask for the stand. Stand. So there's no need to panic. I'm just not going to click and treat it. I'm going to go back to using the lure. Stand. Good boy. Lie. Good boy. Sit. Good boy. And the purpose, go, so he went back down, so he's going to come back up for the, yes. Lie. Good boy. So that was very nice. I'm going to give him a couple of treats for that. He didn't hesitate. He didn't walk around. Good boy. Now I'm going to grab a chair. And, you know, I want you to practice at home, just sitting, relaxing, pretending you're talking to somebody. Lie. Good boy. And reinforce that wherever you are, whatever body posture you're in, and you give that signal, the dog should lie down. Okay? He doesn't have to be oriented in front of me. And as the weeks go by, you're going to see that I'm slowly going to get rid of this bait bag as well. So right now, he's very aware that there's a training session going on and there's something in it for him, which is great because I want to set him up for success. Lie. Good boy. And he's not eating. Remember, this is his breakfast. Good boy. Okay. So those of you at home, if you have other family members living with you, everybody should be doing this from all kinds of different angles and positions. Sit. Good boy. Lie. Good boy. That was very nice. There was no hesitation on that one at all. I like that one a lot. Good boy. All right. So, in order to get the verbal command, you say the word, sit, pause, hand signal, assuming that he knows the hand signal, and eventually, as you start to say the word, he'll understand that it means to sit and he'll put his body in that position. Lie, pause, hand signal, good boy. Boy. And we'll do one more stand. And I am going to use the lure for that. It seems to be easier still for him. Stand. Good boy. It's not walking, it's just stand up, I click, I give him the treat. Okay, let's go on to something else now. I'm also teaching Jack a leave it command. And leave it is going to be very important. He's going home to some grandchildren. And Jack right now thinks that people are these really cool targets. So when you're outside with him, we didn't see this last week, but when you go outside with him in the snow, he kind of just rams right into you like, wow, you're a lot of fun to play with. He has no sense of spatial awareness or what space is mine versus what space is his. So the leave it command is going to be our starting point for that. The leave it command is going to be, he is never going to be allowed to get whatever I've asked him to leave alone. So as I drop treats, if you drop medication, you don't want your dog to get to it. You'll see in the next few weeks I'm going to add toys to this process so that Legos or pens or pencils or whatever it is that's on the floor, he's not to touch. He's to leave that alone. I've started to add the word leave it. I'm going to show you the process that I've used this week to bring you up to speed to where we're at today. And I'm going to sit on the floor and turn my back to you so you can see his face because he's really funny when I started this. So last week, first let me just do this. So the way we start the process is I've got treats in both hands. I close them and I separate them out. No, you act like we've not done this. So when he stops and he looks at me, I will click him. So I'm going to wait till he looks. So it was just a glimpse. Wait till he looks at me. Yes, good boy. Sorry, I can't get it out of my hand. So the goal for leave it is that he will not bother. It's right here. And that he's going to look at me. You don't want that piece? All right, fine. Okay, so when you do this, yes, when you do this at home and you see that the dog does nothing, that's exactly what we want. I'm not saying anything to him yet. Okay, the next step, exact same process, your hands go on the floor. And I'm going to wait till he looks at me. Good boy. Doesn't matter what else he does. He can sit, he can lie down, he can stand. I'm waiting for that look at me. Hands on the floor. I don't know if you can see his eyebrows. And he's very funny. Hands on the floor. Good boy. Okay, the next step, right? And this, remember, we've been doing this. Each step might take you a day, a training session or two. So now, what that has done, it's beginning to teach Jack to leave the scent of the treat because all he's doing is smelling it. And I'm clicking and treating him for looking at me, okay? When you first start the process, you're going to click and treat him for just leaving the treat alone. All right, now I'm going to show him the treat. It's still going to be in my possession, in my hand, and I'm going to close it. My goal is that, yes, that he will look at it. Good boy. It's important that you keep it in your hand through this process. You do not want the dog to successfully get the treat. Good boy. You're very cute. Yes, you are. Okay. Again, remember, Jack's been working on this all week. Now I'm going to put the treat on the floor. Somewhere. Leave it. I'm waiting for him to look at me. He's still not looking at me. Oh, maybe a little bit. He doesn't move his head that much. He's just moving his eyebrows. I'm ready to leave it. Good boy. Now, when you do this at home with your dog, you might need to put your hand over in what I call sort of a spider web form so that he can still see it, but you have control. If you absolutely need to cover it, then cover it. Remember, this is teaching him to leave, yes, the visual, to leave the visual treat alone. All right, good boy. Now, the next step is motion. So be sure, this is going to be tricky because this treat is going to bounce a little bit. You can still stay on the floor. You need to be ready. You're going to drop the treat and you're going to say, leave it. Leave it. You're still waiting for him to look back at me. Leave it. Good boy. And he's looking back at me. Both sides, leave it. Good boy. Don't be stingy with your treats. Okay, sometimes he's getting handfuls when he does something really great. Pay him big. It'll make a big difference to him. Leave it. Good boy. Okay. Then you're going to come up on your knees. Same process. Drop it. Leave it. Good boy. Now remember, this one's a little bit tricky because the treat is bouncing. Now we may need body blocking because I'm going to set the treat on the couch. Good boy, leave it. Okay, he's been playing this game, so he's totally getting the idea. Leave it. Good boy. All right. Okay, so now this is just a plate full of dog treats. He is not ready to leave the Super Bowl platter alone yet, okay? There's a great deal of management that is going on in my house while I'm training a dog. There is not food on the tables. The food is on the counter. he's carefully watched so that he's not learning any bad behaviors. So this is a good practice. Here's a plate full of food on the table, and I want him to leave it alone. So I'm just going to hang out for a second with him. Okay, so he's into the game, which means he gets it. Leave it. Good boy. And I've changed treats, so now he's going to get some liver treat, which is going to be better because that's more valuable than just dropping one on the floor. Good boy. And if I pretend to hand it to somebody, leave it. Good boy. He actually turned his head away a little bit, which is nice. Leave it. Good boy. Again, I don't care whether he sits. That's irrelevant. He just needs to leave the treat alone and look at me. Leave it. Good boy. Okay, so where do you go from here? You're going to keep upping the ante of what these are. I basically have to walk around with my bait bag, not the clicker so much, but I want to be prepared if he's in the kitchen looking like he's going to be sniffing at something that I can say leave it, and when he does, he needs a big payoff. He is still in training. It is not a self-reinforced behavior yet, which it will be once he really understands it, like the sit and the down and the stand will also become. So be sure that you're preventing the behavior that you don't want from happening. That is the first line of changing or training a behavior. Don't allow what you don't want to happen while you're training what you do want to happen. Leave it. Good boy. Yes, good boy. All right. Okay, let's go on to touch, because that is a really fun game to play. And how we start this, just present your hand to your dog. As soon as they come and touch it, you can say yes, you can click, but you need to mark that behavior and you're going to deliver a treat quickly. Now I have started to add the word, but I'll show you how you start it without it. So present your hand, he touches, he gets a click and a treat. Present your hand, your timing needs to be good. And I'm going different levels, good boy. And we'll see if we can get him to do a high one. Yes, good boy. That was very good. He's not been doing that. Okay, so once you can bet me $500, Denise, my dog is going to come and touch my hand. I'll say, great. Now add the word. I say touch. You can say whatever you want. Doesn't matter. Be consistent. You can say touch, target, apple, here, whatever you want to say. My word is just a basic touch, and I will say it as he does it. It's a label. It is not a command yet. Touch. Good boy. So once I know he's committed, touch. Touch. Good boy. I like to do the high ones because it really tells me the dog understands to touch the hand. Touch. Yes. Good boy. Touch. Good boy. Now the question is, what do you do with it? Okay? There's lots of options. I'll show you how I use it to start a basic heel command, and then I'll show you how to start a trick with touch, because that can be a lot of fun. So now that he knows touch my hand, I'm going to teach him to follow my hand. Okay, so I'll present it, move it, let him get there. Good boy. So now he learns to follow it. Good boy. Good boy. Touch. Good boy. Okay. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to throw in what I call variable reinforcement. So he's not going to get a reinforcement for every touch, and we should see the behavior strengthen a little bit. So let's show you how that goes. So here's one. Good boy. No click, no treat. Here's one. Good. Okay, so it's a little bit harder. Let's do this hand. Good boy. Okay. So now we're going to use it. A heel command. A heel is from basic obedience training, and it happens on the left side. So here's Mr. Jack, again, always orienting to the front of me. I'm going to try this. Well, let's try following with the touch. Jack, touch. I'm going to swing him around and ask for the sit. Sit. Good boy. So I clicked when he jumped, but he's going to get reinforced for the sitting. This is bringing him back into heel position. I'm going to orient to him. Jack, take a step back. Get him to follow your hand. Good boy. Sit. Jack. So again, see, this is, he always sort of reorients back to the front. I'm going to help him out with a lure, but I don't want to get stuck with the lure. So the lure is going to be under my thumb. Ouch. That helps significantly. Sit. Sit. Good boy. And I'm going to give him a few reinforcements for staying on my side. Oh, and where does he go? He orients back to the front. So again, we're going to lure him, take a step back. Good boy. I'm going to turn my back to you so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm going to put him in the front. Jack. Once he has attention, take a step back. Bring him around. Sit. Sit. Good boy. You can also ask for the lie. Yes, very good. Get a couple pieces for that. Good boy. Ready? Jack. Take a step back. Good boy. Have him follow your hand. Sit. There's no lure this time. Sit. So it's a little bit harder, and he's a little bit further away. If you are training for a competitive sport where he needs to be next to you, don't reinforce garbage. If you don't want garbage, don't reinforce it. So we'll ask him again to come back around. See if I can control my lure a little bit better. Good boy. It's not extremely important that he be perfect on his sitting next to me. Lie. Good boy. Good practice. Okay, so a fun thing that you can do with touch is take a Post-it note. Now, we're only going to click and treat when he gets the Post-it note, and he may stay focused on my hand. So we'll try this. And then we're going to quickly just go for the Post-it note. Good. No, that wasn't very big. Here's another piece. So that was a little bit to my thumb, a little bit more to the paper. That was my thumb. This is the other funny thing that Jack does, right? There was what? Boom, 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 3. And then all of a sudden, I'm not sure what happens in his head, but he sits. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to be doing. Yes, good boy. All right, so I'm going to try to get the Post-it note out of my hand. I'm going to wait. So he touched my hand. I didn't click. It's going to be a little bit frustrating for him. I'm going to wave the paper. Better. Better. Good boy. So once he gets the idea to touch the Post-it note, yes, good boy. Good boy. Then we can put it places. So let's say we want him to start targeting the pillow. Good boy. You can do this with shoes, right? Or your newspaper. The remote control if you dare. You might take a few chomps as he comes back to you. Oh, so that was my mistake. He touched my hand and not the Post-it note. Touched my hand. And are we done? Are we done? Good boy. Okay, so that's how the process would go. We're not going to get it all today. starting to touch the Post-it note, then you can put the Post-it note if you want to target the pillow, your shoes, the newspaper, anything, and keep it close to you. We'll work on this slowly until he gets the idea, oh, go touch the Post-it note, and he'll have to go away from me in order to do that, right? So that's going to be different for him because everything so far has been with me. He's always with me, touching my hand, sitting on my side, and this will be good to teach him to go away from me a little bit and then do something. So that's one way you can use Post-it notes. So another fun trick that you can do with the touch command is to teach your dog to spin. So Jack's getting tired here. Come on, Jack. Good boy. Touch. This will come after he's started to follow the hand. Now we're going to ask him to spin in a circle. Yay, good boy. That was very good. Touch. Yes, good boy. You can try to go the other direction. Touch. Yes, good boy. So some dogs will not spin around like that in the first try. I'm impressed and pleased to see he'll do that. Come here. Good boy. This is touch. We'll go this way. Doesn't matter. Touch. Okay. So this is the funny thing about Jack, right? He just did 2 or 3 in a row, and now he's sort of lost. I'm not sure what we're supposed to be doing. So we'll go back to just a touch. Jack, touch. Good boy. Oh, excuse you. Okay, ready? Touch. Yes, good boy. And if he won't do the whole thing, then click and treat. Oh, good boy, parts of it, but that again was the whole thing. Touch. You can also do it with some treats in your hand, but don't get stuck using the lure. That's the problem with using a lure is you feel like you can never get the behavior unless you got food in your hand. Good boy. So no food this time. A little farther away. Touch. Yes, good boy. And as the dog really starts to understand this, tricks are very fun and you need to think out of the box. You could do 2 spins with them so that when you say whatever you want to say, spin, dance, twirl, get dizzy, the dog will spin twice instead of just once. Okay, so I'm not going to label that yet. It's just building from the touch command, from the follow my hand, learning to touch, so that he can spin a little bit. So that's kind of fun. Okay, I want to show you some tug with him. He was playing earlier. He's just standing in place. He's great. Let's drag the bed around the house. And this is good for impulse control. So he has no impulse control. And he's very athletic. So he has to sit. He can't. I'm going to put the clicker away because I don't think I'm going to need it. Tug, I'm going to ask him to take it. I'm going to keep my hand where I want it on the toy. Good boy. Take it. Good boy. You can play tug. Ow! So that's going to end the game. Okay. He's got this whole rope, right? This is my end up here. There is no need in the world for him or any dog to put his teeth on your hand when you're playing. And if that happens, the game ends. Done. So I'm going to make him sit. Take it. Good. So he's down a little bit lower. Now he loves to play tug. By having the game end should be enough of a punishment for him that over 2 or 3 repetitions of the wrong behavior, he should start to figure out what I want him to do, which is just stay away from my hand. I am not going to readjust my hand. I can switch hands, but this is my end of the rope. Sit. Good boy. He has to be able to visually see it without lunging at it. Good boy. Take it. So where's his mouth? Right on my hand. Okay, that's going to end the game. Again, there's a lot of rope. So we'll go on and do something else while he is trying to get it off my counter. So I'm actually going to ask him to lie down. Lie. I'm just going to hang on to him for a second. Now, there was not a lot of pressure. There's no damage to my arm. But that's not necessarily a mistake on his part. He's testing the waters. And my answers to him have to be clear and consistent. He had the whole, down, or sorry, lie. That entire rope. And what did he choose to do? He chose to grab my arm. And that is one of the problems that he is having when we're outside or when we're walking. It's like the human body is a free-for-all for him. That's probably been exacerbated at his previous foster home, which was, my understanding was a police officer in Vermont who played rough and tumble with him, which was probably great for the police officer, but now the dog was with a family, with young children and grandchildren, and human beings are not toys. So he's learning that important message, that he cannot do that. Okay. So normally, I would be done with Tug for probably 30 minutes. I would go on and do something else and completely ignore him from doing that. But for the purposes of the show, I want to be able to show you, see what he does this time. Okay, so we'll release him from that. Try again. Sit. So impulse control, he needs to sit and wait. Good boy. Take it. My command is take it. So he's back down on the rope, which is nice. Now there's two ways to get your dog to release. One is hold the collar, give, which prevents the game from happening. You have to be patient. Good boy. Take it. Good boy. The other way to get the dog to release, be consistent with your commands. I must say, he's climbing back up the rope, right? He's got a lot of rope there. My word is going to be give, treat right on his nose, and we make the exchange. Be careful when you're working with a dog that doesn't have impulse control. You don't want this rope going across your body, because your friend, now I'm going to do some body blocking, may lunge at the rope, and if it's hanging at your leg, you might be getting a leg pinch. Sit. Good boy. Wait. 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 Take it. Good boy. You can get a lot of energy out by playing a good game of tug. If you're having any issues of aggression with your dog, you should not play tug. You don't want them to practice biting and holding if you've already got a problem with him. He doesn't have aggressive issues. He has impulse control issues. He has, gee, is your arm a toy issues. But I wouldn't categorize any of those as aggressive, and this is a great way to get some energy out of him. Give. Give. Good boy. Sit. Sit. Good boy. Take it. Take it. Good boy. Now the other thing I'm doing, take it, is I am ending the game before he gets too worked up. I don't want his arousal level, oh, don't go coming up the rope. I don't want his arousal level to go so high that I set him up for failure. Give. Oh. Good boy. Thought better of that. So now I'm going to ask him for lie. Lie. Good boy. Lie. Good boy. Okay, take it. Good boy. It seems to me like he's still thinking about, can I come up the rope like that? See how close he is? But he missed. As long as he doesn't touch my hand, he can play. But he's going to have to learn to be careful about where he puts his mouth. Good boy. Good boy. Give. Good boy. All right, we're going to hide the rope. Good dog. Okay. So the rules of tug. You always initiate it. The dog does not. That tug toy can live on the floor because my dogs will play with it. But when it becomes my turn to play with it, I do just what I've shown you. I initiate it. I ask for a behavior. I want impulse control in the dog. I don't want a dog lunging and jumping at me trying to get the toy. What if I'm just walking around the house picking up things and I pick up the rope toy? I don't want him lunging at that. He has to sit, lie down, wait, has to be able to tolerate some motion with that tug toy, and then take it upon my command. Take it, tug, tug, tug. I say give, treats on his nose, the toy becomes mine. End your game before your dog gets too aroused, too crazy about it, and do lots of gives before he gets all worked up about that as well. Okay, those are the rules of tug. That was very nice, Jack. That was very nice, yes. And I'm glad we saw him grab my arm instead of the rope, because that's real life and that's what happens. Let's move into the kitchen so we can really see Jack at his worst. You ready, Jack? Come on, big guy. Okay, so now we're in the kitchen. A lot of stuff happens in the kitchen. We're going to practice all the same behaviors real briefly in the kitchen. And during the New England winters, when it's impossible to get outside and do anything without freezing, what you ought to be doing at home is what I'm showing you in a little clip here. Work in your kitchen, work in your dining room, work in your living room, work in your family room, work in front of the fire. However many rooms you have in your house, it'll help start to generalize the dog's behavior. Oh, in any room, in any setting, in any position, you're going to expect the dog to lie down, to sit, to follow your command. So I've taken off the bait bag because I have it here ready when I need it. And I'm not sure if you can see Jack, but he's laying down. I'm going to drop something on the floor. See if I can get something that's going to make a little bit of noise, possibly. I'm going to be nonchalant about it. He didn't see it, he's scratching. Leave it. Good boy. Okay, so my mistake, I don't have treats to give him, so I'm going to have to risk. I don't want to give him that one. You don't want to give him the medication from the floor. Good boy. So I'll grab a few. I wanted something that he could see. Leave it. Good boy. You got to be quicker than the dog. So now we're going to practice the leave it in the kitchen. It's a setup situation, which means he knows that we're playing the game. That's perfectly okay. He's got to learn the game somehow. Enough repetitions, enough consistency, and you'll be able to apply this to real life. This is a part of real life, standing in the kitchen, things dropping. So I'm going to start with a piece of ham. Leave it. Good boy. You must be ready to body block. I'm going to kick it. Leave it. Good boy. I don't care that he's lying down. I don't care what he does. The goal is that he looks at me. Leave it. Yes, good boy. It's a good boy. So we'll graduate from leave it. So he sniffed it, but that's all right. Good boy. And you can have something. Leave it. Good boy. Now, granted, some of these things aren't that interesting, but what it really is also doing is it's helping condition him to the sound of things dropping. Leave it. Good boy. Means there's nothing in it for him. He doesn't need to get those things. I'm sorry. He's learning when things drop, he can just chill and look at me, and the money's going to flow to him. He doesn't need to race and get this stuff. And we'll do one more thing that's going to leave it. So that one bounced right into him. Good boy. And it's under him. So let's try that again. That was not anticipating things dropping. Leave it. Good boy. And you can get a good job. Okay. Now, Jack's other issue is he doesn't get out of people's way. And I tell everybody, if you're moving around your house, you're moving around your kitchen, wherever, you are not going to walk around the dog. So I'm just going to walk across the kitchen, and he has to move and get out of my way. Move, move, move. Good boy. Doesn't necessarily need a treat for that. He just needs to yield or defer to my presence and my space. Good boy. So again, I'm going to walk over to my stove. Move. Good boy. Now, that you can practice in every day, just moving around your house. You're not going to move for your dog. Move. Good boy. If you step on him, hey, that's the natural consequence for being in your way. Good boy. Now we'll generalize lie. Good boy. And if we're at the kitchen, sit. Yes, good boy. Stand. Yes, good boy. That's very nice. That's kind of a hard one. Lie. Good. He'll be very excited when I say the word and he starts to think about going down into that lie down position. Right now, it's still too new. And remember, I'm labeling it. It is not a command yet. Good boy. Sit. Good boy. Stand. And we'll do one more lie. Check. Lie. But notice I don't have to go all the way to the floor. Just be patient. Good boy. And wait for him to do that. Okay. One last thing. Again, it's been very chilly and snowy out. So most of my training so far with Jack, as yours at home will be, has been in the house. Not a problem. You can remember to practice your kitchen, practice in your dining room, your living room, your bedrooms. Before you're going in and out of doors, ask your dog to sit. Before they get fed, ask your dog to sit. Incorporate it into your real life. And you can start the generalization process right here in your home. So when you get outside, you're that much further ahead. And if you're taking classes, the same thing. Practice in every room of your house. And then when you get back to the place that you're taking classes at, your dog was like, oh yeah, I understand this command. This means to sit. This means to lie down. Okay, so I'm going to start him on a recall, which is coming to me when I call. And because I'm training him for someone else, I'm going to use a whistle. Because how I would say his name and how the owners are going to say his name is going to sound very different to him. So the first step is conditioning him to the sound of the whistle, followed by a large piece of liverwurst. I know he likes liverwurst, so I'm going to blow it, and then I don't need the clicker for this. I'm just going to blow the whistle, and then I'm going to put liverwurst in his mouth. And he doesn't have to do anything but listen. Oh, he's looking around. What was that? We're classically conditioning. Remember, dogs learn by association, and I'm creating this association. Now, if your dog is afraid of sounds, this may not be an exercise that works for you. Or you'll have to start at a little lower sound of the whistle. Liverwurst. So he's getting the idea, right? Oh, the liverwurst was pretty good. So he's trying behaviors. He's going to sit for a little while. So I'm just going to see if he'll get distracted or bored. Be generous with your treats for this. You cannot condition something like this with one little piece of cookie. I'm giving him a fairly substantial wad of liverwurst. I don't like liverwurst. I don't like the feeling of liverwurst. I don't like the smell of liverwurst. That's irrelevant. What's relevant is that for a dog, it's highly, highly motivating. And he needs to be called away from smells in the woods. His family lives on a lot of acres in Vermont, and they want him to run loose. that they also want him to come back. So I need to I can't guarantee it, but as close as I can, guarantee that this conditioning is going to be like, yes, I got to get back there because it's going to be liverwurst, or it's going to be liver treats, or it'll be a game of tug, or it'll be chase the tennis ball, all these things that he likes. So he'll come away from the scent, he'll come away from chasing cars, he'll come away from whatever he's doing. So he's still looking at me, so we'll just blow it. Good, and now he's getting up and coming to me, which is a nice sign instead of sort of looking around for the sound of the whistle. It doesn't take long for dogs to form this kind of positive association when you're working on this. So we'll do one more. And that's all you need to do to start it. You can do it inside. Very simple. If you have children, keep the whistle away from the kids. You do not want them haphazardly blowing the whistle. So a brief recap on today's show. Practice your sit, down, and stand in every room of your house. Practice them with your body being in different positions, kneeling, sitting, reading the paper, sitting at the counter, so that your dog understands the signal and the verbal cue, and it's not dependent on your body being in this mode, or the trainer's elbow, as we call it. Practice tug as long as your dog is not having any issues of aggression. The dog should sit and wait, show impulse control, take it when you ask him to, put a treat on his nose, take the toy back. Anytime teeth hit your hand, you're going to grab the collar, take the toy out of his mouth, and be done with the game. It ends. Teeth hitting your hand ends the game completely. We showed touch, how much fun it can be to get your dog to touch your hand. I showed a little bit of how to get it to start to bring the dog into heel position on your left side, attaching touch to a Post-it note so you can send your dog away from you. We'll keep building on that each week. And how you can do spin, moved into the kitchen, did some leave-its, dropping treats. I had to intervene a couple times with my body, perfectly okay. And you can do leave-its in every room of your house as well. Don't let the New England weather keep you from training your dog. Last but not least, we did the whistle, showing to condition the whistle, and I'm using liverwurst because it's pretty high value to most dogs. Blow the whistle, big piece of liverwurst in the dog's mouth. You just want to make that association that when he hears that sound, great things happen. And for him right now, it's the liverwurst. Okay. Thanks for tuning in to today's episode of Doggy Dilemmas. I look forward to seeing you next week.
If you have a doggy dilemma, Denise can help. Visit www.denisemazzola.com for more information. Denise Mazzola is a certified professional dog trainer tested through the Association of Pet Dog Trainers. The association requires recertification every 3 years with a minimum of 30 hours of continuing education. She has been training dogs and working with families for over 20 years.